All right, we're going to do Unit 5, Lesson 10.5, Factored Form, Extra Practice. This is for students who are absent or need any extra help. So let's write down what we know that we can see from this picture right away. So right now we can see that our x-intercepts are 0 and at 4. Okay? So this is where it crosses the x-axis. And so this factor here is going to be x minus 4. This should be a minus here. So x minus 4 is going to give me a 0 at 4, and x, we just have this x there. Okay. Now, the y-intercept is also 0, comma 0. Okay, because it crosses the y-axis at that point. So now let's do the axis of symmetry. Halfway between those 2 points, we can see easily is going to be at um, when x equals 2. Don't forget to write the x equals, and the vertex always happens on the axis of symmetry. Now, there's also another mistake. This vertex is down here. This should be a negative 8. That was a misprint. Okay, so now the tricky part is to find this number here, because our parabola here is stretched. It's stretched, so we have to figure out what this is going to be. So in order to figure out what it's going to be, I'm going to use this vertex, and I'm going to use this. And I'm going to plug in 2 in place of x, and negative 8 in place of p of x. And then we're going to get our missing variable. So p of x, I'm going to plug in negative 8. And we've got our orange. Instead of x, I'm going to plug in 2. Instead of x, I'm going to plug in 2. Okay, so this is the same equation as we have up here, except I replaced y, or p of x, with negative 8, and I've replaced x with 2. Okay, and this is the orange value that we are looking for. Okay, so I've got negative 8 equals something times 2 times negative 2, right? 2 minus 4 is negative 2. Okay, so 2 times negative 2 is negative 4. And so what does that have to be? That's going to have to be 2. So now I know this answer is going to be 2. Okay, let's do the next one. Okay, hit pause and rewind anytime you want to see an explanation over again. Okay, so here we know our x-intercept is at negative 1, and this one here is at 6, comma 0. Okay, and halfway between negative 1 and 6 is going to be right about here. And that value is at x equals 2.5. Okay, and the vertex happens on this axis of symmetry. So don't forget, when you're writing your axis of symmetry, you have to write x equals that value at 2.5. Okay, so now we need to find the y-intercept. And they've given you the answer here. It's at 0, negative 18. 0, negative 18. Okay. So also, if our x-intercepts are negative 1 and 6, um, then in order to get negative 1 to be an x-intercept, I have to have x plus 1. In order to have 6 to be an intercept, I have to have x minus 6. So people were a little confused during class because they wanted to say, here's 6, let's put plus 6, and here's negative 1, let's put minus 1. It needs to be the opposite sign, because if I want this x-intercept to be 6, I have to have x minus 6, because 6 minus 6 is going to give me 0. Okay, so it needs to be the opposite sign of the x-intercept. Okay, opposite sign. Okay, so now we want to find the vertex, this value here, and we also want to find the orange value. So the first thing we got to do is got to find the orange value. And so I'm just going to rewrite this equation. Y equals something times x minus 6 times x plus 1. I just rewrote the equation. And I'm going to replace y with negative 18, and I'm going to replace x with 0 from this y-intercept here. And that's going to help me find our missing value here. So with the y value of the y-intercept, I'm going to have negative 18, uh, and then x is 0. X is 0. Okay. So I've got negative 18 equals something times negative 6 times 1. Okay, so negative 18 equals something times negative 6. So my answer is going to have to be 3, because 3 times 6 is 18. So positive 3 times negative 6 gives me negative 18. So this value here is going to be 3. Okay, and so now I need to find the vertex. So now that I know that's 3, I can, this was the first thing we did. So now I'm going to say, okay, we get, y equals 3 times x minus 6 times x plus 1. Okay, so now that I know that orange value is 3, let's try to find the vertex. So we have 3 times, and so I'm going to be replacing x with 2.5, because the y value of the vertex, this green value, we can get that when x is 2.5. Okay, so I'm going to make x 2.5. Hit pause and rewind if you want to hear something explained again. It will make a big difference. If something was confusing, hit pause and play again. Okay, so now we've got 2.5 minus 6 is going to give me negative 3.5, and 2.5 plus 1 is 3.5. And if I multiply all those together, I get y is negative 36.75. Okay, there we go. Okay, next one. Okay. And if you already get number 3, then, fast forward to number 4. Okay, so we've got negative 4 and negative 2. Negative 4, comma 0, negative 2, comma 0. The y-intercept is up here. They've told you it's 0, 16. Okay, the vertex we know is halfway down on the axis of symmetry. My axis of symmetry is x equals negative 3. And so negative 3 is the x value of the vertex. If my x-intercepts are minus 4 and negative 2, I'm going to have plus 4 and plus 2. Okay, we can fill out all this information without doing any math so far. Okay, so now I'm going to rewrite this equation. Y equals the missing value times x plus 4 and x plus 2. Okay, and so I'm going to using the y-intercept, that's going to help me find this missing value. Okay, I'm going to replace x with 0. I'm going to replace y with 16. I've got 16 equals something times 0 plus 4 times 0 plus 2. And so 16 equals something times 4 times 2. So 16 equals something times 8. So that's going to have to be 2. Okay, so I'm going to put a 2 here. Okay, let's stick with our color coding. That's going to be 2, right? Okay, so now that I've got that, I can find my y value of the vertex. So my new equation is y equals 2x plus 4x plus 2. Okay, I'm going to replace x with negative 3 in order to find the y value, the green value there. So we're going to get 2 times negative 3 plus 4 times negative 3 plus 2. And then I'm going to get 2 times 1 times negative 1. So let's multiply those all together and we get negative 2. Okay? All right, let's do number 4. X-intercepts is 2, 0, and 6, 0. Axis of symmetry is halfway in between 2 and 6, which is 4. Between 2 and 6, so we have x equals 4. Okay, the vertex is on the pink line, so I'm going to put a 4 there too. The y-intercept, though they told us to is 0, 6. Okay, so if the intercepts are 2 and 6, I'm going to have x minus 2 and x minus 6. Okay, now we need to figure out the orange value here. Okay, so once again, we're going to use this y-intercept and plug that into our equation. So we've got p of x equals the orange value times x minus 2 times x minus 6. Right, that's our equation. So trying to find that orange number. So we're going to replace p of x with 6. We've got our orange number. We're going to replace x with 0. Okay, so then I get 6 equals something times negative 2 times negative 6. Well, negative 2 times negative 6 is positive 12. So to get 6 when I multiply by 12, this is going to have to be 1/2, because half of 12 is 6. So now I know this value is 0.5, or 1/2. Okay, so so let's solve for the vertex. Okay, this value here. Okay, so my vertex, we have y equals 1/2 x minus 2 times x minus 6. Okay, and we're going to get y equals 1. Yes, we're looking for y. 1/2, and we're going to replace x with 4. Right, because we're trying to find the y value of the vertex, and the x value is 4. Like I said, watch this again. If I'm going way too fast, hit pause, have me talk at half the speed, or hit reply, so you can see this again. Okay, 4 minus 2 is 2. 4 minus 6 is negative 2. So 1/2 times 2 is 1, and that times negative 2 is going to give me negative 2. So that is the value of the vertex, 4, negative 2. Okay, Last page. Okay, so number 5. So we've got x plus 4, x plus 2. So my x-intercepts are negative 4, comma 0, and negative 2, comma 0. Okay. Halfway, so let's put those in here. Negative 4 and negative 2. So halfway in between there is x equals negative 3. That's my axis of symmetry. So I'm going to put negative 3 here. The y-intercept, well, oops, x is 0 on the y-intercept. So we don't have to solve for the orange number. We already know it's 2. That's nice. Okay, so let's find the y-intercept. Doesn't matter if I find y-intercept or vertex first. So if I've got y equals 2 times x plus 4 times x plus 2. Okay, so if I'm going to replace x with 0, then we're going to figure out the y value. So we're going to have 2 times 0 plus 4 and 0 plus 2. So we're going to have 2 times 4 times 2, and that's going to get us 2 times 4 is 8, and 8 times 2 is 16. So this value here is going to be 16. The y-intercept is 16. Okay. Now the vertex, so to figure out the vertex, this y value of the vertex, I'm going to replace x with negative 3. So then we get 2 times negative 3 plus 4, and times negative 3 plus 2. And then we get 2 times 1 times negative 1, and then we're going to get negative 2. So right there. Okay, so now I've got all my points that I need. So that's this one here. Y-intercept, I'm going to color yellow. And let's connect our dots. Okay. And last question. Okay, so x-intercept is 5, comma 0 and negative 3, comma 0. The y-intercept x is 0 here. Halfway, let's plot those points. 5 and negative 3. Okay, so halfway between there and there is going to be 1. So we get x equals 1. Okay, so now, just like we did before, y equals negative 2 times x minus 5, x plus 3. So if we're finding the y-intercept, we're replacing x with 0. Negative 2 times negative 5 times 3. And so 2 times 5 is 10, and 10 times 3 is 30. Okay. Okay. And then to find the vertex, we've got y equals negative 2 times x minus 5, x minus 3. We're going to replace x with 1, and that's going to get us the y value of the vertex. So we're going to get negative 2 times 1 minus 5 times 1 minus 3. So that's going to give me negative 2 times negative 4 times, this should be x plus 3. Oops. And that's 4. And that's a negative 2 times negative 4 is 8, and 8 times 4 is 32. So this is going to be 1 comma 32. 1 comma 32 is up here. Okay, great. Now I've got all my points that I need, and I can plot my graph. And we're done with this handout.